You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shemaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shemaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have another amazing show lined up for y'all. Today we have a special guest. We have Kozak. He is the founder and CEO of RichBrands. And we're going to learn about his story and his process and his amazing time that it took to get from the past to where he is today. And I had a little sneak peek of his story in the green room. But man, first of all, I want to say welcome to the show, Rich, and how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad we did the little green room. Shemai, it is a blessing to be here, and let's give your listeners something that can really kind of bless their life right now.
I mean, if I just say real quick, what I heard in the green room was completely amazing. I can't wait to hear more of your story. So first, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got started in your career.
Okay, well, let's start at where I am. So I'm a branding consultant, which might scare a lot of people and sounds intimidating or sounds maybe self-adulating, but it's not. For 45 years, I've been defining and languaging brands and then marketing them. So let's go way back to, as a kid, I was kind of entrepreneurial. I was selling things and creating little businesses and painting houses and hiring my friends and all that kind of stuff. When it came time for college, marketing sounded good, but I didn't really know what that was. So I got a degree. But I've been a lot of places in a lot of lives, if you will. Played in a rock band, ended up becoming president of the American Marketing Association in Southern California and being on the national board of directors. Got hired by you might call it a high-tech in the day ad agency, but really was an integrated marketing communications company. We did all the marketing communications for our clients. And we ended up being a part of a partnership worldwide. So I had partners in 21 countries, and we trained on the process of defining, researching the beginning of the brands, why the company was founded, and then moving companies from country to country. So I've really been at many of the highest levels of the process of defining and languaging brands for middle-sized and big companies, pitching that process to big companies and serving companies of all sizes until I resigned my addictive career when I turned 50, because I was still doing all-nighters. And I figure that's not really why I'm here, even though I was having so much fun at it. But I changed my prayer and say, Lord, I'm going to resign this addictive career to reshape my life. I don't think I'm here to burn out or have a heart attack and die because being an ad agency guy or whatever, global, whatever, branding. So show me what you want me to do. I'm ready. And I did a lot of different things. Years later, and it wasn't that many years, but it was enough. 3 people in a row asked me to help them, individuals now, not companies, build a brand, define a brand. And I told them I didn't do it anymore, but they said, no, you haven't stopped. You just don't charge for it. You're brilliant. Everybody around our networking table uses your language. You sit with people and talk to them about their business. Like, I want your help. I want your help. 3 people, 3 months in a row. When I'd finished those 3, I had created a process that I'd used in the big agency, but this was focused on individuals, but not just any individual, individuals who wanted to impact others' lives through what they do. A multimodal medical facility on a hill in a big city in Southern California, a special integrative yoga place where people who want to take their lives and their health to a higher level and their enlightenment to a higher level, and a person who wants to do HR with a human in the resource, because they all have good hearts, all people, all spiritually driven people, and they want to help others' lives. So what I realized was all of this preparation and all of the journey that I had given up. I resigned my career. I said, I don't do branding anymore, even though I'm really good at it. It's almost intuitive. I listen to a person's story, to their heart. I just did 3 today. I'd never met them. And I listened. We're on Zoom for an hour. Heard their story, and I start to see what can happen in their business and in their in their business, but beyond their business. And that's one of the reasons Shemaiah and I are so appropriate to be here together, that I'm here with him on I Am Refocused Radio and the podcast, because our businesses are not why we're here. We're all given gifts, and our business are just a vehicle to get there. So if we can make our businesses abundant, which branding, particularly branding from the inside, that lifts up the person and their uniqueness and what makes them unique, special, and attracts those people they really want to attract, which is the work I do, builds a platform that enables them to step more easily into their purpose, from running a beautiful, successful business, getting faster to the impacts they want to make and faster to the money, but having a platform to step into their purpose. I didn't realize that was what it was in the beginning, but it didn't take long to fall on my heart as of a man of faith, that when I help people write down those impacts they really see clearly making when they thrive at what they want to do, and the types of people they know they can help or really want to help, whose lives they really want to impact, all we do is we define the brand they must become to make those impacts. But everything about the brand is personal. It's unique to them. It came from their heart, from inside them. And I realized I help people step into their purpose. Yeah, I use branding to help them build their business, but I help them step into their purpose. And is it ironic that those people who ask for my help me step into mine? And that is why Shemaiah and I are now new best friends, right, Shemaiah?
Yeah, man. And I can't help, people know me for always having a metaphor. And whenever someone talks, immediately my brain just works as a movie. Like it just plays a random movie scene, and I'm visualizing everything you're saying. So when I visualize everything you're talking about, like helping people find the purpose within the brand so that it becomes, I guess, ignited with actual substance of what can actually work in the world they live in. Don't ask me why, but I immediately, not because I'm hungry, but I thought about like a kitchen. And the reason why is, real quick before we get into your story, people can have the best recipe in the world, but they don't have a stove that can cook it. Then that recipe is just the greatest recipe on paper, but it's not necessarily a recipe that people can experience. I know that's totally left field, kind of abstract art painting session in this interview, but that's immediately what I thought about as you were talking about purpose, because I feel purpose is like the stove. It kind of ignites the recipes, the gifts, you will, that is inside a person, and it allows them to have a greater impact.
Thank you for that. That is a powerful metaphor, and I love it. I love it for a number of reasons. I'm an organic chef. So we raise our own food here at the Brand Ranch on the side of a hill in Southern California. And I cook a lot. And I use a cooking metaphor, but it's a different one. And I'm going to share it with you too, because it's equally powerful. And that is, you can only make dinner out of what's in the refrigerator or the pantry. Imagine if you said, hey, let's make this dinner, but you looked and you didn't have the ingredients. That's what the world of branding does. It says, hey, let's make you this brand. But if it's not congruent with what's in your refrigerator or what's in your heart, there'll always be conflict. There'll be stuff missing. You can only make dinner out of what's in the refrigerator and the pantry. So don't be tricked by the promise of, becoming something that you're not. Go deep and become even more of what you are.
No, I like that, because that's even more crucial. Forget the stove. If you don't have the ingredients to even have the dinner, you're just, you're gonna have to go get a fast food joint, because you're gonna have to settle. There you go. That's a key thing. You're gonna have to settle for what is available for you. And I think your story, how you were able to create this platform where you inspire people and kind of get them back on track, as far as it's not about feeling good, because you kind of said it in the green room. It's about action steps, and you have steps. And speaking of that, you have a book, Impact Driven Branding, and you have 7 steps towards that. What's the process that you take your clients through to once they define their purpose and understand who they are, what's the action steps that you help them along the way?
Thank you for asking me. I really appreciate it. The book is Impact Driven Branding, 7 Steps to Ensure Your Brand Impacts People's Lives and the World. So it's a how-to book. It's not a book about branding. And the steps are iterative. They come one after another, and they are just steps. And it begins with the use of your imagination, what it looks like when you thrive at what you really want to do. You get to paint that picture, thrive. And then you ask your heart, whom do I clearly see impacting? And what are those impacts? Do people just reframe who they are, or do they release something that's holding them back? Do they find new tools or skills, mindsets and skill sets from you? Do they set new patterns in their lives? Do they become abundant? Do they give back to the community? Like, how high of an impact? Because impacts kind of come in levels. Do you clearly see having on certain types of people when you thrive? It's not difficult for people to do that. It's not, because it comes from their heart. It's in there, or it's not. When I know someone's ready is when they can answer the question. This woman I spoke to this morning, she said, when I was young, I was lonely. I was alone. I was a little bit abused, but I found solace. I found adventure, and I found a whole world in reading books. And now she is becoming a voiceover artist for audiobooks. She wants to deliver that gift to more people. She'll probably become a speaker to parents and teaching groups and who knows, institution on the importance of reading and the importance of what it does in children's lives and to children. She's going to become the Mr. Rogers of reading. Hey, it's like, and what's in her heart, one of the ingredients is that desire to help children that were like her. So she could easily pick that one. And I would expect she could define a parent as well, or a couple, or a type of teacher, or an organization that stands for helping children step into the purpose. I don't know if she has any background in the foster care system, but people who do, they know how difficult that is. And so when people go in their heart, they can talk about the impacts that they clearly see making in their mind's eye. Like you see metaphors, they'll see the person and they'll see the impact. And we just write that down. Those are the first 2 steps, and they actually are steps that individuals can do on their own. Do you mind if I give you a gift for people to request? Because I'll give it free, and then they'll have the 7 steps in front of them with a page from me explaining and saying, here's what you can do. May I do that?
Yes, you definitely can.
Okay. So I am going to give my email address, and it is simple. It's Rich, that's my first name, at RichBrands, which is the name of my company, RichBrands, Rich at RichBrands.org. Make sure it's .org. So Rich at RichBrands.org, and just put the word blueprint. Send me my 7-step, my impact-driven branding blueprint, and I will send you that document. Page 1 shows the 7 steps, the names, and each of the page is one of the steps. So you kind of get the book before the book, if you will. And the first 2 steps are written so that you can just start now. You can do them with your eyes closed by yourself. And the other steps are the protocol steps, but the results are phenomenal. When you have a list of impacts and you say, in order to make that impact, what characteristic must my brand become? Well, if your brand must be patient in these 2 ways, or technology centric in these 2 ways, or understanding in these 3 ways, or visionary in these 2 ways, or, whatever, you write those down. That's it. And then we create categories of expertise In other words, you must get credit to be an expert at something. You can write that down if you want to. Remember, I mentioned that yoga lady. One of the categories of expertise we created, which was contrived because no one had ever heard of it before, was body intelligent yoga. The woman speaking tonight is an expert at body intelligent yoga. Really? Wow, I've been doing yoga for 10 years, never heard of that. I think I'm going to come to that. I probably need that. What's in there? I want that. It's an intangible brand promise. When you create language that transfers energy, and that's what some of these steps are about, language that is unique to the brand, stands for you, congruent with your heart, and transfers energy, you will attract exactly what you're supposed to attract to make those impacts, because that's the way you defined it in the first place. What characteristic do you need to make the impact? What expertise you need to get credit for to make the impact? It's all impact driven. So of course it's going to work out. And here, the amazing picture, if you will, is that when a brand is defined and languaged clearly in the beginning, before the brand opens its mouth, or some people have already opened their mouths, and so maybe they need to do a little rebranding, or, creating that language so they can get on with it in a fresh new way. Everything, when it's been defined in language like that, everything the brand says and does aligns with the impacts. And you not only get to the impacts sooner, you get to the money sooner. When the purpose of business shifts from, dollars to impact, and you make more dollars anyway, praise God. There's one.
There you go. Once again, listen to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to our special guest today, Rich Kozak. And I like how you are illustrating the relationship between the impact and the language definition and how it lines up, because it's like another metaphor that's going to come out of me, unfortunately, or fortunately.
Bring it on.
Like if you think of just service A, service B, product A, product B, it's designed to fix a problem, right? Or designed to help with something. Well, yeah. If the individual doesn't have that language embedded into them, then they're just generic. They're just like any other wannabe service A, service B, product A, product B. They're just noise. But in order for you to stick out there as an individual, once you align your true self with the brand and what it stands for, then it's unstoppable. It carries a life on its own.
Absolutely right. You are right on. You totally got it. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, man. I did my homework.
You nailed it. And I use it, you say it, wannabes, and it, it's just product A, product B. Huh? We use the terms falls flat. So, and most brands, when somebody says, so what do you got? And they say, well, we have this process of the new semiconductor chip, which blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh, okay. Yeah, that's nice. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a financial advisor. Oh, yeah, well, that's good. There's no energy to it. It just falls flat. We teach kids to read and we have some books and stuff, it falls flat because it has no energy to the way you say it. You want a good example of, let's pick the extreme example, financial advisor. Like there are bazillions of them on every street corner, and you really kind of want to run away from them because many of them are very young. They don't have any money. They don't know how to make money, but they're selling products that they're told they have to go sell. And they're supposed to be an advisor, but they're not. You know the drill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to hear a good example?
Oh, yeah.
Guy comes to me, had been a financial advisor for 25 years. And he says, you know what? Oh, and I have to mention, when he tells me about himself, he says he does prison ministry 6 nights a week, 6 nights a month. Sorry. So 6 nights a month. Prison ministry. In other words, in addition to being a financial advisor, he is going into the jails and talking to people about their life. And he's being he's there with his faith, taking action on his faith. So he's living his faith, right? That makes him a very different person. But he's a financial advisor, and it's scary to most people, and they just run away. So when I heard about him, and we did the work, he was in Brand Accelerator Group, which is a 7 days over 8 weeks, and we go from 0 to 60 miles an hour and create all this language. And the brand now is ready for 3 or 4 years with its language. It takes 8 weeks. He goes through it, and his new elevator speech, and we talk about making sure there's energy, it comes alive, and make people like, ooh, what's that? Here it goes. Ready? So, Frank, what do? Well, for years, I served as a financial advisor, and oh boy, there are so many of them, But I got to a point where I decided to serve people only at a much higher level, particularly committed savers. And I created my own company called Safe Savings Options. And today I serve as a savers wealth advocate. Does that help?
That's better than the first.
Now, it doesn't work for Edward Jones for sure, but you still don't know what the hell he does. You have no idea. But if you have over $100,000 cash that you have left over, at least at the end of the year, and you have all this money and you don't want to hand it to some Wall Street guy because you don't think it's going to come back, you need Frank, but you don't know where to find Frank. And the whole purpose of his brand is to create intangible brand promises in the language that make it come alive. Well, what do? Well, we do three things. We steward legacy. Steward legacy. I need that. What? We educate and we protect wealth. Okay. I need to know more. I still don't know what you do, but the language of the brand is the language of the brand. It gets them to the website. It gets them to set up a 20-minute Safe Savers consult. It's all its own language. It is powerful. And in the end, they get a person whose third book is going to be Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, the name above all names. But this first book that we just came out with on Amazon was From Broke to Six Figures, Steps to Succeed in Business and Life. So that his brand had a stake in the ground to come alive to these high-level people that know he's an author and that he is big enough to say, I made these mistakes. Don't you make these yourself. And this will change your life. And put himself on video and QR codes and say, hey, you read this in chapter 2. Thanks for coming to the Frank Spotlight. Here's what I want to tell you in person. And his brand comes alive and it's pure Frank. It's not anybody else.
And that's the key. It's not everybody else. Our story is our fingerprint to who we are.
It is so true. And people think they're intimidated. Oh, I don't know, because they've heard, branding is so important. But that's for big companies. I don't know. What's my brand? What should my brand? Because I'm a mom, but I have kids, but I have this career, but then I'm a cello player, but I love to sing. Like, I don't even know what my brand is. The beautiful thing, all of those things are the brand. They're all spokes in the umbrella of a wonderful umbrella brand that is only them. They just don't know how to think like that. And if they had to build the stairs to go from that first level of where they are to where they can be, they don't know how to build those stairs. And nobody that's an exaggeration. Find me one and I'll agree it's not nobody, but very, very, very few people who use the word branding, even if they sell branding, know how to build those stairs. They couldn't take the step, and actually guide people so they could literally own the process themselves. That's why I'm doing the book, Shemaiah, to put it in people's hands that they don't need a guru, but they do need to know it's just a process and they can own it no matter how big they are. And to me, if they've made a decision that they're going to make the world a better place or bring something to people's lives that makes their life better, this process is perfect for them. And they're the ones that I want to hear my voice because they need to know it's available and it will be a blessing.
Once again, here on I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Rich Kozak. And I love everything you're saying. And they always say time goes by when you're having too much fun. And man, time you have left. First of all, you mentioned faith, and I think that's a unique perspective. And I think that's an important perspective, part of your story. How has faith impacted your journey as far as discovering who you are?
Wow. for you to ask the question in that way is major. And thank you very much. You are a man, a discerning man with wisdom. I'm going to paint you a picture of me meeting with my aimless, in the time homeless son in Huntington Beach at an IHOP. Hey, I'll buy you breakfast. Let's meet. I got something from my mom's house when I cleaned it out that I want to share with you. Okay, Dad. It was her Bible. And I slid it across the table and said, take a look at this. Take a look at how she's underlined all these things. She is literally reading this every day for God's will, asking God for his will in her life to make sure that how she lived was congruent with what he wanted from her and why she was here. And looky here, she's made these prayer lists when I was in my 20s. Oh, she has a Southern accent. Richard's playing in bars. Dear Lord, help him spend less time in bars and help him find the girl that will be the best girl for him. She made these prayer lists for me. And I share this with Chris and my son, Chris. And I said, Chris, this is your grandmother asking God for his will in her life, or by reading the word every day. This is a legacy. It's to me, and I do it now too. And it's your legacy. Put your hand on it. It's real. Feel it. And he puts his hand on her Bible, and I about broke into tears. I said, the sooner you accept this legacy, the better. So I had resigned my career. People had asked me to help them with branding. I happened to be involved in a big multi-level marketing company at that time. And I was at an international conference on Sunday morning when they had a church service. And I always attended. I loved the pastor. He always had a great sermon. And then they would do an altar call, literally an altar, literally, hey, everybody's got stuff going on. Why don't you come on down to the side of the stage? We'll give you a little bag of things you can read. We'll pray with you if you want. Come on down. And I stood up and I thought, wow, what a great company. You know, for people who've been raised in the faith, this is great. For people who have been unchurched, this might be the first time that they've ever connected with their creator. What a blessing. Even people who have their business over here and their faith over here. And I'm like, uh-oh, because that was me. I literally was saying this to myself. I wasn't, standing there talking to me, but I'm like, whoa, you know what? And I headed down to the stage, took their little bag of Billy Graham literature. This happened to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I went back to because on the way down, I said to myself, what am I going to do differently? What am I going to do differently? I get it. My business and my faith aren't connecting directly, and they should be. I've made the decision to resign this addictive career. I'm doing real estate. I'm doing these other things. I'm doing MLM, but I'm not connecting the two. So what am I going to do? I decided to restart my faith as a new Christian. And what did that mean? Well, I read the Billy Graham literature that night, and it said, if you're coming back, start on page 4. But if you're brand new, start on page 1. And it said, hey, read these scriptures. So I did what it said, and then read these, and then do this, and then do this. I started reading the word every day, but not to check off, did that. Yeah, check. Reading the word, and maybe reading more than it was called. If it said read verses, 20 to 25, I'll read the whole chapter. And then think and pray about what I'm supposed to hear from it, what I'm supposed to get from it, to ask God for his will and say, please make sure what I do in my business and in my personal life and in my marriage. I've been married 45 years to the same beautiful woman, 50 Valentine's Days, is congruent with your will. Let me be a bastion of your will so that what I'm doing is your will. And when I slid that book across to Chris, my son, it was the most natural thing in the world. If I weren't doing it, it would have felt a little bit disingenuous, but I was already doing it. And I could speak for how powerful it is. My prayer every morning is, Lord, put in front of me those people whose lives or businesses you want me to touch with this gift, and give me the eyes and ears and the wisdom to know who they are. I told you when we were in the green room, I've got the global director of diversity and inclusion at a 4,000 member law firm in 11 countries, woman of color who was born in Africa and came to the United States here. I got people in their 70s who decide they'd buy a franchise to support inner city ministries with the profits. It's like, who does that? Well, that's an impact. That's an impact-driven person right there. Somebody who's decided they're going to, the girl I mentioned before, we just talked today, she's not a client yet, but I have a person who is a healer who learned a healing protocol and wants to make sure she touches more people so that they clear things that hold them back. Just the most fascinating people, and they all are impact-driven, and they all are people of faith.
There's so many storylines that I can jump into that will make this a 2-hour show, because it's like so many things I want to unpack right there. But I think that hit it right on the head. The faith story, the finding the source, if you will, the resource. Because I say sometimes on the show, God's the source. So, keep God first, stay focused and peace. Because I said a couple of times the backstory of that, but I'll keep it short. It's simply that, with God in front of you and God there for you, you have nothing else you need to rely on. So it's like, why not take that risk? That's probably the best risk you can take.
Great story. Maybe we should do a series.
Right.
Anyway, but what a great opportunity to share these things with you. Thank you, Shemaiah, for the platform that you've created here.
Thank you as well. And before we let you go, those who want to support what you're doing, also maybe want to use your services, how can they find you, and what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, I'm going to give you another gift. I already gave you my email me at rich@richbrands.org and ask me for the blueprint. But go to this website, actually it's a landing page, old school, thebrandyouvillbecome.com, all one word, thebrandyouvillbecome.com. It's a series of 8 short, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, total 18 minutes videos of me without a script answering with straight talk, no funny talk, frequently asked questions about branding. It will help put your head in the right place. And, those two things, either send me an email or go to www.thebrandyouvillbecome.com, get the videos, you'll get an email and you can click the link and download them. Well, great. I do 2 half-day workshops every other month called Branding You with Impact. And in a half day, it's very, very inexpensive. It's not a workshop. Sorry, I said it was a workshop. It's a mind changer. It's a half day. It's a morning. And for you to spend a morning to reset how you think about branding and branding you, it is absolutely worth it. So if you email me and I email you back, you'll see them in my signature. And then I do a 1-day workshop intensive for people who are ready. They have something they're doing and they want to do it at a higher level. And I literally walk people through every step of the 7 steps in a 1-day workshop intensive called The Brand You Will Become. And I send out a workbook to you beforehand. The next one is April 16th, but there's one every 2 months. And I have a huge 3-day event coming up in July on 7th, 8th, and 9th that will be a life-changing to the people who are there. So I'm out there as much as I can be. Thanks to people like you, my voice is becoming an audio brand. I'm about to launch a mini podcast series on some of the basics so that people have them to listen to. And a video producer and I are making sure that we break down the branding and marketing stuff with straight talk into small pieces so that people have them on the internet that they can go and listen to them anytime they want to. So that's what I'm doing. And if you sit there, if you're sitting there and having a question about what my brand really is, or how does a person like Rich, and don't be looking around trying to find a person like me, because there are very, very, very few. They're either on a beach or on a yacht, or they don't do this anymore. And I'm not going to stop because it's not my work. You heard it. I get to do it. It's a blessing and it feels like love. So you get a hold of me. I will talk to you. I'll do a Zoom call with you and not charge you anything. And we'll talk about you. Now, you might end up working with me because of it. So be ready, but I will focus on you and you will be blessed by it. I know it. It happens every day. Like I said, I did 3 this morning. I'm still at that point where I will get on the phone or on Zoom with someone who has said, I'm really struggling. I don't know what to do with this. I need to know how to think about this. Here's what I want to do, but I don't know how to get there. And, so I'll be very specific. If you have done something for many years and you're ready to take it to another level and you know how to do that, I would like you to talk to me. If you've done something for years and you've quit and you're going to do what you love now, but you need a brand, or understand you want to get the branding thing right from the beginning, if it's impact driven, you please reach out to me. It'll be a gift to you. It'll be a blessing. Or if you've created something because you're a unique kind of coach, or you've had this journey that makes you really different, or your method different, or your language different, and you want to, get higher level help with making sure that you get credit for what makes you outstanding so that you can make your impacts faster, I want you to reach out to me. Well, if you fit any of those three, we belong on a Zoom call together. And thank you, Shemaiah, for allowing me to say that.
Once again, been talking to RichBrands, the guy that has amazing information, amazing tool sets for you, whoever's listening to this, to embrace and take to action, because we know if you are not taking it to action, you're just listening. So we love the listeners, but we want you to make sure you take the action. Go visit his website. He has two. I will give you both, richbrands.org and also thebrandyouvillbecome.com. Make sure you reach out to him and just thank him for the two awesome gifts that we will put in the description. Thanks to him. And also thank you, Rich Kozak, for taking time in your super busy schedule talking to I Am Refocused Radio.
It's my pleasure. And Shemaiah, again, thank you so much for creating this marvelous platform that helps people step into their purpose and find their calling and move forward in their life. Thank you. Thank you.
I Am Refocused Radio is brought to you by Foo 4 Star and Holy Crab. Foo 4 Star is a family-owned Asian restaurant in San Antonio, Texas. We have been a local favorite for Asian cuisine for over 10 years. With nothing but full smiles and fast service, you'll be leaving satisfied. Come on in for some authentic Vietnamese food. Holy Crab is one-of-a-kind Cajun Creole-style seafood restaurant located in Universal City, Texas. We offer traditional seafood items as well as chicken and steak. We also offer seafood boils. Come give us a try. You won't be disappointed. You can find these two eateries in Universal City, Texas at 2921 Pat Booker Road.